we'll start the October 9th board meeting for the Horry County Solid Waste Authority. Remember, this is a rescheduled board meeting for the September meeting since we had to cancel that because of the storm. Okay. We'll have the invocation by Mr. Schwarzkopf.
Well,
You
go ahead, Sam.
Okay, I'm sorry, Sam. They switched
okay.
the name on here.
Dear Lord God, Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to assemble. We ask that you be with us and watch over us. We're thankful for the blessings that you have bestowed upon us this past week. We look forward to your continued success in this endeavor. In the name of your Father, your Son, your Holy Spirit, amen.
Amen.
We'll have Norfleet. Would you leave us?
You would stand and face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I need to get an approval of the agenda.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Are there any questions? All those in favor, let it known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Hearing none, and the motion is carried. We also need to approve the minutes for August 27th, 2018 for the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Hearing none, the motion is carried. We also need to get August 27th, 2018 regular meeting approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Are there any questions or corrections? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Hearing none, and the motion is carried. I think we have Ms. Woods for public input. We are at a 5-minute rule.
Okay.
Timekeeper will let you know when you have 1 minute left.
Okay.
All right? Thank you,
Thank
and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Amelia Wood. The main thing I want to talk to you about today is the last item that y'all voted on at the August board meeting. I was just very confused about that when I left, and I realized that it wasn't even on the agenda. And so I wanted to remind y'all that according to the Freedom of Information Act in South Carolina, you're supposed to only be voting on things that are on the agenda. So y'all might want to reread that information. I emailed some of it to Danny and a few of the board members. So I just think it would be more helpful, especially to me, to understand what you were voting on. And even after I realized that it wasn't on the agenda and it was maybe voted on improperly, I really was trying to understand what you voted on. And I thought that I heard the letters NOC, and then when I read the minutes, I thought, well, I was correct. That is what I heard, NOC. And so I did an internet search to try and find out what NOC was, and I found out that there's really no solid waste permitting nomenclature that uses the abbreviation NOC to define what that is. So, and then in connection with that, you also mentioned something about increasing the disposal capacity, the yearly disposal rate for the landfill, I guess the Class 3 landfill. And I found that a little bit confusing because, well, from the best I can tell, looking at your last permit, y'all have got a permit for a yearly disposal capacity of 750,000 tons per year, which is considerably more than the last disposal capacity you had of 300,000, and it's about 3 times what you actually dispose of. And I'm thinking, even with the projected amounts of waste that are supposed to come in here, greater than 750,000 seems like a huge number to me. I can't figure out why you would need that, because even with disaster debris, natural disaster debris, I'm sure y'all are aware that doesn't count towards your disposal capacity. It's a separate figure. So I'm just hoping that I can get a little clarity on this. I'm wondering if maybe you meant to be voting on demonstration of need and consistency, a DONC, which, but then also in those minutes it said you needed to vote on that to proceed with this process, and it didn't really define what this process was. So I'm just hoping that maybe in the meeting today, in roundtable discussion or sometime, you would get around to explaining all that. It seemed like it was this secret code that I was supposed to try and decipher, from listening to the meeting. And so I'd just like to have a little bit more information about that. And I thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, and we will take that into consideration. Thank you. Okay. We will now move into department reports. We will start with recycle and corporate affairs.
Good afternoon. It's
Good
not-
Hello.
It's not evening yet, is it?
It's closed.
So used to good evening. Good afternoon. My report begins on page 45. I want to begin with a brief update on Hurricane Florence. I know we've talked about Hurricane Florence last week at our special meeting some. I have in our report how we, as far as the unincorporated collection system, the recycling centers, our motions and actions leading into the storm and then following the storm. There is a picture in your packet of the Sarvis Crossroads Recycling Center, and that was actually prior to the storm. Usually what happens at recycling centers is once we're pretty certain that a storm is heading our way, people in Horry County like to get ready. And as a part of that getting ready, it includes cleaning up anything and everything that might be in the yard. So we had a lot of, many centers that wound up having debris left at the gates before and then subsequently after the storm, which, we clean up as we go. We just handle it as we go from day to day. What I did want to do, though, this afternoon was to offer special thanks. And I can't name every recycling center attendant here. We've got 67 or so of them, so we're not going to do that. But if I could, I would, because the work that they do just on a daily basis, if you haven't done it, you really probably can't fully appreciate everything they go through on a regular daily basis. In times like the storms, their work is just exaggerated. And then having to deal with every personality known to mankind on top of everything else, I can't say enough about the work that they do. I can't thank them enough for what they do. So if you see one or two in passing, we have actually our quarterly meetings next Tuesday and Wednesday. If you're in the neighborhood about 7:30 in the morning, stop by. We start early. But we'll be definitely thanking them next week for all of their work and their continued efforts. The storm didn't come and go. It came and lingered, and then it left some stuff, and we're still all dealing with the ramifications of the storm. But, for what they do each and every day, I can't say enough for the work that they take to heart and really put forth. I mean, everybody had issues traveling. Everybody didn't have issues with flooding, but many did. But that didn't deter them from trying to get those centers open. So many thanks to them. Our staff that works along with the site attendants, Truman DeWitt, our HEO2 driver who goes and picks up most of the stuff that's left on the ground. If anybody ever been to the Lake Arrowhead Unmanned Recycling Center, that's his daily job. It's amazing to me the stuff people will just drop on the ground. Frank Troiano, our maintenance technician. We keep him running, so I don't even know if he knows his name some days. He's just on the run all the time. William Casey, supervisor, trying to move people around when you got flooded roads and you live in Timbuktu, but you got to go to Soccer City. Just trying to maneuver. And then Jamie Suggs, who is the manager who oversees the entire department. I mean, I don't know if we all just got to the point where we were talking so much every day, we just lost count of day. But they all put forth extra effort in everything they did to try their best to keep these centers up and running. And not just in the unincorporated division, every division of the Solid Waste Authority. Whether it was, the administrative staff, manning phone calls from, I don't know where some of these people were calling from. But then the questions were just kind of, sometimes you just had to laugh because they were kind of strange sometimes. Or whether it's the guys on the landfill, making sure that people could still get here at all cost. Everybody put forth extra effort during this storm. So special thanks to every Solid Waste Authority employee who had to deal with what they had going on personally while still making sure we were up and operational. Next, recycling grant update. Just wanted to let you know we did receive a grant application from the city of North Myrtle Beach. Staff just completed our review of the grant, and this is something that will be discussed at the Finance and Administration Committee meeting on Monday. And the way we're doing the grant applications is whatever committee's meeting next, because grants can be any scheme of things. Since all directors are participating in the process, whatever committee meets first is where it's going to go, so we're not holding up the process. Caught Green Handed update. This is our August recipient, Paul and Joanne Letty. They're regular recyclers at the Toddville Recycling Center. They were really happy, even though their picture might not reflect sunshiny attitudes and things, but they were really happy to be recognized for their recycling efforts. Last in the packet that I have for you is a listing of upcoming events. We're right now in the process of working with Keep Horry County Beautiful on their Secure Your Load initiative, giving away tarps to residents as they come to the recycling centers. This past Saturday, they were at Carolina Forest. This coming Saturday, they'll be at Jackson Bluff. And then we have 2 more upcoming Saturdays where they'll be at locations. Let's see, our annual employee dinner. Well, it is set for Friday, November 2nd. It will be held at Cherry Hill Missionary Baptist Church, same location as last year, beginning at 7 p.m. At your table, there is a sign-up sheet. When it comes to you, if you know who your guest is going to be, please go ahead and sign up, and just need to kind of tie down some numbers before the end of the month. On November 17th, CCU football game sponsorship. This is something we've done for the past couple of years. We will participate as a sponsor of that game. We will be promoting recycling awareness. We'll be at the game with our whole setup, giving out information and some giveaways. That game is the game with Georgia Tech. No. Which one? It's Georgia Southern. That's the one, Georgia Southern. I'm making up schools as I go. We have, as a part of our sponsorship, we do receive 50 game tickets. October 22nd is the day. If you're interested, everybody has to call in and speak to Cecil on October 22nd, beginning at 9 a.m. So put your call in on the 22nd. List begins then. Last thing I want to mention to you, at your place setting, I left a United Way pledge card along with United Way information. We're also in the midst of our United Way campaign. Anyone who desires to give, we'd be more than happy to take your completed pledge card. Cash, check, credit card. However you want to give would be greatly appreciated. Day of Caring was canceled because of, or rescheduled because of the hurricane. So the Day of Caring is now scheduled for next Friday, October the 19th.
Yes.
That's all I have, unless you have some questions.
Just one.
Yes, ma'am.
At INR, Paul Prince had made the comment that used to the fire stations recycled, but he had seen a lot of them were not, and because people were there many hours, he was seeing where they were throwing everything in the trash, and that he would like to see them recycle. Would the fire departments be eligible to apply for these grants to do that?
I mean, we opened it up to any governmental entity, so I wouldn't see why they couldn't. I know many fire stations used to, in particular, collect aluminum for burn victims. I don't know what stopped them from doing that. And we've, in the past, had a good bit of conversation with the fire departments regarding recycling efforts and things of that nature. So, as with any other entity, of course, they can surely apply.
Thank you.
They've been terrific with cleanups. We did have our first tarp giveaway on Saturday afternoon at Carolina Forest. Your staff there was excellent and accommodative. We had over 100 vehicles come in a 2-hour span. We were giving away tarps. 30% of them had unsecured loads. Our next discussion, Danny's already started the discussion with the sheriff, is for the police and the sheriff department to use off-duty policemen to start writing people up. The staff said that they've heard complaints from people who've gotten their $300 tickets. And more people need to get that, I guess, to change their behavior. But of all the tarps we gave away last year, only one came back with a tarp that we gave them, and it wasn't on top of their load, it was on the bottom of their load to protect the inside of their truck.
They were using it, though.
They were using it, though.
They were using it.
Maybe we should give out more instructions of where they should be used, right?
You can tell where their concern was. They didn't want to scratch their truck, but the roadway is. But thank you so much for your attentiveness
No
of your
problem.
staff. And I heard you loud and clear on how hard they worked
Yeah.
the last 3 weeks. And please give them our congratulations for having made it through that period.
Yes, for sure
And they've
will.
worked as diligently as they did to keep them open. We know that there were issues. We expect issues to arrive. But we're fully support them. They kept them open as long as practicable, and we're here to defend them, not to beat up on them.
Yeah.
But thank them so much for
Yeah,
their dedication.
thank you. And I don't want to be remiss. Horry County Police were truly, and they usually are very helpful, especially when we have a illegal dumping issue. To the point where prior to the storm, they were parked at certain recycling centers where people were attempting to dump so that people wouldn't continue to dump. So absolute thanks to them also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Finance and Administration?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
While I'm looking at my notes, first thing, Nanette wanted me to remind you that we have flu shots next week. They're going to be given on Tuesday and Wednesday, the 16th and 17th, beginning at 8:30, going until 9:30. So if you want your flu shot, come out here next week. Also, we've got the Finance Committee meeting on Monday at 1 o'clock. David DeCleva with Smith Sapp will be here to review the annual audit with you. That was one of the things that we squeezed in somewhere in the middle of the storm and the flood, and bless their hearts, they couldn't get here, we couldn't get to them, so we gave them information. They were able to finally come out today, so we did manage to get through our audit, and like I said, the package is on your Dropbox, so you can take a look. It was kind of lengthy because it did have the complete audit in there for you, the financials in there for you to review. So, but anyway, like I said, we've had another good year with that, thank goodness. Just one other thing I wanted to note before I get into these as well. Danny had asked me earlier to kind of take a look at the number of vehicles we've had coming in. Last year, this time, we were averaging about 500 a day. As of today, we're averaging about 632 a day. So, like I said, we anticipate it to continue to go up a little bit these next few days as more and more storm debris is coming in. So, just to kind of let you know where we are and how busy things are getting on the landfill. Definitely at our Scales House, we're keeping 2 operators up there currently. trying to get them in and out just as fast as we can. So, busy time for sure. But, again, like I said, I reiterate what, Esther said as well. We have an amazing staff that did everything they could to get here. We spent a lot of hours in traffic. We had a group of us that went all the way through Georgetown one Friday to get home from work. But, we did what we had to do, and like I said, we managed, and we're very thankful to the board's support. And like I said, I have an amazing staff that was here every day and worked whatever hours needed to be worked. So I appreciate that. Just to go over the financials and begin on page 53. Like I said, we're through 2 months of the year, of this budget year, which puts us at about 16.66% of our budget. As you can see, the solid waste and the mixed construction are well above budget, and yard waste is right at budget. So we're doing really well, staying right on target with our tipping fees, which is great. Just above that, you can see that our revenues, our tipping fee revenues are have an increase over last year, of course, at 4.36% increase over last year, which is great. Going on down, you can see that the recyclable sales are at 16.78% of budget. So they as well are staying right on target, right where we need to be with our budget, which is great. As you can see, the C&D processing facility has saved a little over 9 days of landfill airspace, and the materials recycling facility with the collection and hauling program has saved a little over 12 days of landfill airspace. So again, like I said, those programs are doing exactly what we want them to do.
The demand is greater on them now because of the storm debris that we're collecting.
That's
So
exactly
we need
right.
that even more.
That's right. Over on page 55, just going to take a quick look at the income statement. As you can see, our revenue total, we are currently at 18.26% of budget, so our revenue is well above our budget, which is great. We have our expenses at 14.18% of budget, so we're maintaining our expenses well below, which is what we like to see. As you can see, the net income for the month is $389,604.70. And year-to-date, our revenue over expenses is $1,116,685.64. So like I said, staff's doing a great job of watching their expenses. Over on page 59, I was just going to take a quick look at where we kind of are with our tonnages. As you can see, our solid waste, our yard waste, and our mixed construction is seeing a nice increase over where we were last year this same time. With our solid waste at a little over 4% of an increase, our yard waste is seeing a large increase at 26.9% of an increase, and then our mixed construction at 3.39%. So, like I said, we hope to continue. Of course, I'm sure with the storm, we're going to see a whole lot more of an increase. Over on page 67, just going to go over the MRF reports. These reports were actually presented at INR last week. Like I said, very positive report. As you can see, for the month of August, the average price is down to $150.23. Our revenue from the material sales was $456,630.50. We did not have any kind of cost share this month with Charleston. And the overall expenses for the month were $408,950.22. So for the month of August, we had revenue over expenses of $47,680.28. Year-to-date, the MRF revenue is $814,303.68. The expenses are $595,865.31, with revenue over expenses year-to-date of $218,438.37. Mike will probably go into with you, where the prices are, what we're kind of doing with some of the materials, but answer any questions you may have. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Operations?
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Wanted to make the board aware that the landfill, we've made some operational landfill hour changes starting Monday in order to help to get the material off of the floor, off of the streets. We're now opening from 6 a.m. in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon, 7 days a week. We had to cancel some employees' vacation and time off in order to do it, but the county had asked that we try to facilitate their trucks and their contractors in order to get the material off the street. So we have notified all the haulers that we are open from 6 a.m. till 4:30, 7 days a week. So I want to make sure the board was aware of that.
Let me mention something, what we've done. Employees have to take 64 hours of vacation time a year based on our last changes in our policy and procedures. We have told the employees that vacation is off. They'll have to be looked at one by one. But I don't think it's quite fair to tell an employee he can't have his vacation time and then him lose it. So what I'm gonna do is extend that vacation time limit through the first quarter of January, February, and March, and give them the ability to use their vacation time. So we will proceed with that, and I feel sure that will help the employees' thought process on their time. Some people's gonna be able to take their vacation and some aren't. So we're looking at it one-on-one.
Go ahead.
How long do you think that schedule will be up?
Based on what I'm telling, 30, 45 days.
Okay.
Of course, we're going to try to give people off if we can, you know, as they request it, but it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. You know, with only having so many employees on the landfill, you have to operate it in order to keep it open. It's got to be open in order to get it off the street. So it's sort of a double-edged sword, and the employees are the one that's stepped up to do it. And honestly, I've not had much resistance. I've had some say, well, you caused me not to take my vacation. How long do you think it's going to last? And I said 4 to 6 weeks, you know, and then we'll get back into it, but we make sure you won't lose it. So, but overall, I've not had very much negative feedback from it. So we got a great group of people out here.
Did the request come from the jurisdictions, the private haulers, or the public works,
Governmental entities.
governmental entities?
Well, we do need to help them get that off the streets
Yeah.
to that degree. Do you think the new storm that's coming, and they're saying we may have 4 to 5 inches in places and 3 and 4, what's that gonna do to what problems we already have?
Well, it's going to make it tougher to operate on the landfill when it's good and wet, but other than that, you know, as far as operation, I think we'll be okay. I don't think it'll have much impact. You know, a lot of I'm sure it'll have some impact on the rivers, and we're just going to have to watch it, but I would hope it'd have very little on the flooding issues. Probably going to slow it down from going down, because, you know, you still got areas, Conway that's flooded, still areas Bucksport, and other areas are still flooded. I'm sure it won't drain as fast as it's going down now.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, the MRF update. If you would, look over on page 73. And just going to talk to you about MRF prices. As you can see, the UBC, which is aluminum beverage cans, we had a significant drop in the sale of those, about $200 a ton. It went down. HDP Natural, which is your milk jugs, is pretty much holding the same. It dropped just a little bit. PET and HDPEC, which is colored, is pretty sustained. Everything is holding pretty normal as we've got. One of the issues we have, which is holding prices down on fiber and stuff, is wet fiber. You know, we're selling wet fiber for about half of what we sell in dry fiber, and every time seems like we're getting dried out, here comes another rain event, and it takes us about a week to overcome that. So we're definitely looking at those things and trying to keep those prices up, but the weather is hurting us when it was related to fiber.
What's the impact of the proposed tariffs on our pricing?
Ours has been pretty stable for the last few months, our pricing. It's not
Isn't
went
it
down or
surprising?
up, but you know, China has submitted prices for brokers that submitted prices to go to China, but you know, you weigh it all out, what happens when it gets there, and if it's $1 or $2, even if it's $1 or $2 higher, we are selling it at $1 or $2 lower rate, so we don't have all those fines and penalties applied to us. So we're not taking a chance with that. So we're definitely trying to play the market and get it up and do those things. But we're selling most of our fiber right now to India.
I would have thought too that with tariffs, there would be more demand for recycled materials because the tariffs would be on the raw material.
Yeah, it would be on the raw materials, but right now we're not seeing
We're not seeing
a big demand.
Your price,
You'll see a big spike in prices when that demand goes up. Everybody's gonna want it, so.
your prices are better than the national average, though, as I
Yeah,
understand.
way better than the national average, as I reported in our last meeting. Our prices are a lot better than the national average. You know, we're trying to keep that up, but, the weather, September will be the toughest month we've had in the last 2 or 3 years. Number one, we were shut down for a while. Number two, couldn't get material out of Charleston. It was just a whole ball of wax of stuff. I think first brush of it, our expenses were twice what our revenue was in the month of September. And we're just getting back up to par now, this week, to what we were prior to the storm. Because once you let the temp labor go, it's hard to get it back. And we didn't have nothing for them to do, so they're looking for other jobs. So we're just getting back to the point we're getting ramped up, back up to full staff. So that storm is going to affect us not only in September, but October as well.
Your staff efforts, though, is what's causing us to get the better prices, and they're doing a good job.
They're doing a good job. We're doing a good job on the quality material and quality. We have a lot of quality control checks in it, but we're doing all that. It's just a factor that we didn't get a lot of material out of Charleston, and we didn't have the manpower to get ramped back up after the flood went down.
I read an article this week in one of the magazines, and the guy started out quoting Yogi Berra. Yogi said, "The future ain't what it used to be." And he led into the recyclables. And we did it to ourselves in China. We were shipping everything in the world to them, and it wasn't good material. And he made the statement, those people that have got good material will be able to market it. And that's where we find ourselves, but for the simple reason we've got a good material. So everyone at the MRF's doing great. Been tough.
Have we started back with Charleston?
Yes. Okay. We started back full staff. We accepted some loads last week based on the volume of staff we had. And then this week, we're back up to where we were prior to storm numbers coming in, 11 loads a day. Okay. On a positive note for the MRF, you know, or in Horry County as a whole, you know, if you look on page 74, you'll see that the MRF took in almost 1,100 more tons in July and August out of Horry County than they did the prior year during the same period of time. So we brought in 1,000 more tons for 2 months out of Horry County into our MRF than we did last year at the same time. And we only processed 140 tons less from Charleston. So we basically, if you look at it, we did about 1,000 tons more in that MRF during those 2 months than we did last year in the same period. Wow. Even though September's gonna be a buster, you know, we were strong in the first 2 months of this fiscal year. On page 75, which is the unincorporated collection, I want to give you some numbers off of that I've done. It's not on this page, but that I kind of, in July and August, we did 1,523 tons that was collected by our collection and hauling department, which equated to about one and a half days of airspace that it saved in July and August collections. So I thought that was good that the collection and hauling saved a day and a half's worth of airspace and collected over 1,500 tons in 2 months period of time.
We recognize other employees. Are we going to need to start recognizing our new employees that are involved in our cardboard collection system?
Yeah.
We should.
Yeah.
I'm serious, as an incentive.
Oh, yeah. On page 81, which is our driver of the month, which is Jim Elrod from Trebor. Does anybody know what Trebor spelled backwards?
Robert?
Robert, that's the gentleman that owns it. So he's definitely, he came up with his name name of his company by spelling his name backwards. So anyway, this is a gentleman that we're recognizing this month for Driver of the Month for the landfill operations. If anyone's got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Danny?
Thank you, sir. Most everybody's hit on Hurricane Florence, but it's really been a challenge of getting around for everyone. I don't think any of our people will ever complain about the traffic on Highway 90 in Conway anymore for what we went through getting home, and we did so many things trying to help employees. We split the shift some so they could get here earlier and beat the traffic, leave earlier and beat the traffic. So we've done that. Of course, we agreed to put the flood material in the piggyback, and I think that's working out. That's working out well. And if any of you want to see how those trucks are coming and going, we can do that after the meeting. Their contractor started yesterday morning, and I've noticed today there's more trucks, more of those big, ugly trucks coming in. So they're getting a hold on their schedule and the roads and how to get into the landfill and those type things. And Jan told you about the increase in the traffic, but we will continue to do everything that we can do. As I told Steve, the quicker they get the stuff off the front yard of everybody's home, at least their attitude will be a little bit better than seeing their grandmother's wardrobe sitting on the deck and their piano and all that type stuff. So, and as the river falls, they'll work down the river, and it'll just be more of the same as the water falls. The INR meeting, I think, went very well. We presented the management plan, and Joe Redlin was there, and Tom Garrigan took the lead, since Tom was the chairman of the TAC committee. And they agreed to send it on to the full council for approval. We presented the Piggyback 3 presentation. Vance did that. There was some questions about that, and I think that went well also. We gave a Charleston update, and I think Charleston's still looking at trying to do something to Romney Street to try to do a little bit of stuff on their own, but we haven't heard yet what the staff's recommendation is back to their full council. They also, Steve brought up the Shore Drive Lake Arrowhead Center. That center was started to take only recyclables, and that's turned into a mini dump. I wouldn't even say it's a landfill, it's a dump, and everybody just throws out what they want to throw out. And it was kind of everybody's recommendation on staff-wise just to shut it down. Signage, you need to take it to another place, but the councilman up there wanted them to look for money before they closed it down and do everything they could possibly
Sounds
do.
like they'd need to staff it if they weren't going to close it.
Yeah, well,
The voice choices are,
and really, the time we send a staff member up there every day to pick it up, you could just about put a person there, so the cost is there, but there's not enough space to put a full-blown convenience center. Basically, you just have a recycling collection. You couldn't take anything else. But,
Yeah.
it's right behind the fire station on Lake Arrowhead Road, and we got some of the same comments from the staff that thought the firemen could take a better look at what was going on back there, and also in reference to the recyclables. And I think one of the council members said, well, just need to talk to the chief. So I I don't know where that will go, but, we've already mentioned that, we're gonna extend the vacation time for the employees so they don't lose their vacation time into the first quarter of the new year. And I think that's, I will say that I have watched the trucks and the traffic coming in, and everybody that's got a trailer is hauling. The only thing I ain't seen is a horse and wagon. I've seen overloaded trailers that the hydraulics won't pick the bed up because it's overloaded, and then we have to help dig it out.
But they don't have tarps.
Everything's wet, and when it rains, it's gonna get wetter. Tonnage will go up. Trucks running hot, people can't back. And our group is doing a great job trying to get them to the right place and being cordial about it. So, it's just gonna be, it's gonna be a trying time for the next at least 30 days, but I think we'll get there. Thank you.
Let me ask a question, Bo. The tarps you given, you said you haven't seen any of them that
Being
you've given
used.
come back?
That's disappointing, because if you're gonna do a proper efficacy, you need to find out the impact of what you're doing. And we were hopeful to see some of the vehicles returning with the tarps we gave out last year. And that's disheartening not to see them being in use. So the stepped-up enforcement's just gonna have to do what we're not able to do through education.
Yeah, I think that's
enforcement.
the prime, I know they was giving a bunch of tickets out here when they was going around those barriers, and I think that kind of slowed people down. I saw a lot of people
did.
turning around. So I think the enforcement, because these people may be using them though for other purposes, since they had so many leaks and all this kind of other stuff. So they're probably using them to cover roofs and everything else, and not worried about the trash. They're leaving that down there on 90. There's plenty of it down there that we can pick up without a tarp being put over it. But I was just curious what was happening to that.
If you're disappointed in people not using tarps, if you had heard some of the comments that we got on the telephone during the closure time, you would have really been disappointed in your neighbors and the citizens of Overy County. And that's, I don't, somehow or another, I just don't see that getting better.
It was really interesting. The Saturday before the storm came, I think it was closed out here, and I was coming by. And literally, they had some people out there trying to tear the chain off the gate. I mean, there was a big sign there. I think we finally opened it up because we'd have had to put a fence up because I think they were going to just tear the thing down. So I don't know what, but people really had, they had some real attitudes, but those people catch it at these recycling centers. I come to this thing just about every day, and you'd be surprised of the attitudes of the people that are in there. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous of how people act in an emergency. You would think that people have a little more compassion, but I guess that's the state of the world. Anyway, I won't get on
the
that.
one that got me the worst was one guy called, and they were trying to explain to him the reason we weren't open, and when he made the statement that, you know, when people in Conway get a little bit of rain, it really gets them out of sorts. That one was the one that was kind of hardest to understand.
And then is these the same trucks that they had doing Matthew? These big old
Same type.
same type.
It
Okay,
may
it's
not
not
be
the
the
same.
Same one, but
Okay.
they pull in trailers, they cherry pickers, they load both the truck and the trailer, and then they have to unload them with cherry pickers. So it takes about 25, 30 minutes to unload a truck once it.
Because they can't
once
dump it, they gotta
yeah,
take it off of
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
Okay, Bo.
Follow-up, a question about the reactions to the temporary road we put in. Most people should have been relieved that we were still open even though our entrance was impossible. But I'm sure you got blowback from the community on using that alternate route.
Yeah, the staff has got a lot of enjoyment out of what some of them call me. But, you know, and we're trying to explain to everyone it was temporary. we didn't want to wind back through the woods. We wanted to come through the front entrance, and as soon as the front entrance opened, we would be back, and we used it 3.5 days is all we used it. And then we took the big sweeper up, and we swept the road off, put the fence back up, put the gate up, put the no trespassing sign. So we did what we said we could do, but we could not open the landfill. And we did everything we could do to do it, and we succeeded.
I'm relieved you put the fence back up. I am concerned that once we've shown them an alternate way in, they might use it again.
It might become permanent or semi-permanent.
Or
No, the fence is up.
And there's a gate back there too, isn't it? There's a metal gate that's locked back there.
great. Thank you.
Any other questions for Danny?
I'm happy that you found an alternate route. I would have hated for those 3.5 days for us not to accept anything because of the standing water here.
But
So
not
thank
only-
you very much for finding an alternate way in.
And some of
so we
the
could take it.
adjacent landfills were not as fortunate. And I got some enjoyment out of telling some of them that an option's great. So,
Bo, not only did they find an alternate route, they built it within less than a day.
Yeah.
And it was a great road. I mean, you know, to build a road that can withstand those big trucks coming in less than a day and working 4 days in the morning when it's dark, I think they just did an astronomical job. I don't know if you've been back there and seen it, but I called Mike up. I need a road back in the back of my pasture, so I know who to call to build a pasture, a road, yeah, because they did a great job. Okay, do we have any committee reports? No committee reports? No, I don't think anybody met. Okay, so we'll move to old business.
As y'all may remember, we carried to the committee and talked about it at the board last time about building a storage facility at the material recovery facility, and there was a request for us to get prices to put doors on the front of it. And if you'll notice in your board packet on page 86, we did give get those prices. I did give the prices with and without doors. We got 2 prices with doors for $139,558. And another price for $207,700. We're asking the board to approve, to allow the staff to issue a purchase order for Homewood Metal Works for $139,558, and plus an additional $12,550 for electrical services. And the funding will be utilized out of the capital budget and the construction and development account.
Have we ever used this company before?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They built our storage facility. They built our SW6 building, and they built a storage building back here for us. We've used them several times.
Is this a local company?
Yes.
Okay.
I make a motion that we award it to Hardwood Metal, Homewood Metal. $139,558
Plus the electrical service.
plus the electrical $12,500.
It's been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Hearing none, the motion's carried. So I expect to see some metal doors out there soon.
Got to order the building. Take about 60 days to get the building in, and then it'll be the erection after that.
So we should have it by the end of the year?
Hopefully by the end of the year.
Not in time for the next rain.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay, thank you.
Great place to have a Christmas party.
Okay.
The next thing on the list is
New
the
business?
sale of surplus equipment. We have a water truck. As you remember, we bought a new water truck back in last year FY 18's budget, and we're asking to sell the 2001. Anytime it's over a value, we estimate the value to be more than $10,000, we have to come to the board to be able to sell it. And we're asking the board to allow us to sell a 1998 Ford F800 water truck.
I thought I remembered in your presentation on the purchase of the new vehicle that the old vehicle would still have use.
We kept we had 2. We have one that's a frontline truck, and then we had a secondary. This is our secondary truck.
Oh, so,
We always keep a backup.
okay. Thank you. Then I move
Make
that
the motion.
we approve the recommendation of the putting it on governmentdeals.com.
Second.
And it's been properly moved in second. Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed is nay. Ayes have it. So you can sell that piece of equipment. Scale repair, is that a part of yours?
I
too?
just got pointed at me.
Yeah, I saw you get ready to move and they pushed you back.
Okay. On page 89 of your board packet, it states, we've been having issues for a long time with the foundation issues with the scale. If you remember, at the special meeting, we asked for and requested that allow us to buy a set of portable scales, and we got those in process. Those are supposed to be installed and ready for operation on the 16th of this month. So we'll have those up and operating, but our fear is that the scale here on the inbound scales will go down at any point in time, and we have some issues with them. What we also have is issues trying to keep them clean. They are below ground. Most scales nowadays are above ground, so you can wash and clean them out because dirt gets in them, trash gets in them, and it's hard to clean them out when they're below ground. You actually have to take them apart just about to clean them out. We are requesting to be able to use our capital road fund money that we got of about $1 million to be able to put out the bid. This is not to purchase them, but to put it out to bid to replace the inbound scales, the outbound scales, and raise the existing scale house, because we got to bring it up.
How's that going to be accomplished?
It'll have to be, what we'll have to do is move the scale, what we're looking at, the scale house we got now, the floor's weak in it, the sides and the windows, you can shake the windows in it. So what we want to do is we'll buy a new scale house, set it over, set us up an inbound and outbound scale for them to be able to work. We'll go back and start refixing the old scales and fixing them like they're supposed to.
So
It's going to be a process of getting the other ready, taking the old up and redoing them.
So you would use the portable scales while you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'd also use the portable scales if this one here happens to go down before we could get this thing bid and put out and put together.
Have you gotten any preliminary estimates to know that you're going to be able to accomplish all this with the budget you're
It's
proposing?
going to be close to that $1 million.
Be close.
How did we get from 150,000 for a scale to close to $1 million?
The 150,000 is for one scale repair. We're talking about,
Repair.
we're talking about adding an express scale. So as part of this process, we're going to upgrade the system where it takes less time on the site attendant and more speed for the customer. So when we get done with this new thing, one scale will be what we call an express lane. So if you already have a account with us and you have a tare weight system in the system, the truck will pull up on the scales, put in a series of numbers, it'll print him his ticket and he can go on. He ain't even got to talk to the scale attendant. Goes in the landfill, dumps, comes back out. Now there's a photo taken of him. Of course, he has communication with the scale house attendant. There'll be a gate where he can't move forward until everything is okay. So we're going to make sure we got all the stuff captured before we can get off the scales. That's the express lane. What we're trying to do is trying to move traffic through without adding manpower, add technology. So of course that'll be the express lane. Then you'll have an inbound lane for those people that don't have scale, don't have their information, don't have their car, don't have an account with us, and they'll pull up and they'll talk to the scale house attendant as they do now, and there'll be a process like this they do now. But large companies like Waste Management, Waste Industries, those kind of people, the county, cities, would be able to pull up into that express lane and move forward.
So you don't have 3 lanes out there versus where you got 2. You got enough room out there for 3 lanes?
Yeah, that's why we'll be moving the scale house over during this process, moving it over. If you're standing facing it from this direction, we'd move it over to the left.
Okay.
It's crucial to our whole operation.
That's the cash
It's,
rate.
we thought about it, and Danny gave us instructions that he wanted us to try to eliminate as much, making it as automated as possible without adding manpower. So it would make it easier for those girls in there that have to stand out there for they don't get a break. They stand in that scale house, they punch in the morning time, and until they punch out in the afternoon, they don't ever get a break unless there's no trucks in line.
Now, personally, I think it's a smart idea to upgrade. I mean, because sometimes you come by here and the trucks are parked out to the middle of the road, that can't get in, especially when the scales break.
Yeah.
You
I'm
put
just
back
concerned
lock.
we're not gonna be able to do it within the budget that we've
Yeah,
got.
so,
Because this is a
yeah,
We've had it.
very ambitious
Yeah.
undertaking.
Yeah, Mr. Ives, we've had an engineer to look at it, Vance Moore, because it's gotta be compacted, compaction's gotta be right for them scales to set there.
Sure.
The whole thing, the preliminary drawings, he gave us a preliminary budget. That includes buying the scales, doing it all. And have a QC guy on thing to make sure the compaction is there like it's supposed to be. Because that's what's happening now, the scales are failing, the scales are leaning.
We won't be back.
But this is gonna take some time because we're gonna have to put it together, put it out to bid, and then select the companies that's gonna do it.
What do you need from us?
Sir, I need approval from the board to allow us to use those.
Okay,
I move we
make a mo-
proceed
Go ahead.
go ahead.
with the budget allotted of $1 million from the capital budget.
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. All those, any questions? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. Hearing none, and the motion is carried. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're at roundtable discussion. Anybody got anything for roundtable discussion? I do have, October, this was the September meeting. We had a special meeting, last week. Our next scheduled October board meeting is, Tuesday, October 23rd. My question is, do we need to have another board meeting? I know the bylaws say we should have a board meeting every month, but is there gonna be a lot discussed in the next 2 weeks that we need to come back on the 23rd?
I think since we've had the special one and this one, that would be enough. I don't think we'd have that much more to do.
December's meeting is gonna be early.
In December.
Well, our next meeting will be November.
Yeah, we'll have another board meeting on the 20th of November, and then the December meeting is on the 13th of December.
I was basically thinking if there's, staff can make the suggestion or recommendation, if we got enough issues of concern that are, of a high priority and sense of urgency, then we need the meeting on October 23rd, and if not, forget about it, move it on. I'm not one having a meeting just for the
Well,
sake of having a meeting.
I'm with you. I mean, I don't know what else. I mean, I've heard Florence,
If there's a
and I've
need,
seen water for the last 2 or 3, so I don't know. But again, Danny, we'll leave that if you think that there's something that we
if
need to
there's,
do.
if Danny and the staff feels that we need to have a meeting, then
We'll call you.
he can call the meeting, but other than that, I don't think,
It's just the fact that our rules say you will meet monthly, but we in the month, and I just,
We've met twice. So
We
Yeah.
didn't meet in September, no matter what it said.
we met in September. It may not have
I
been a
just
regular
hate
board
to
meeting.
meet.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a reason, so,
Come on, don't you like us?
I love you.
Well, I'll tell you what. All those who want to meet with no pay, come on down and meet with Danny. And if he wants to entertain you, that'll be fine. But I think we've had enough meetings for board meetings in October. So if
You
the
need a
press
motion?
calls me, I'll tell them that I made an executive
need a
decision. What time do we want to have the board meeting? We don't have an allotted time. I think it's at 5:30, because November is that the right time? Okay, all right, because she didn't have a time.
You want to do
It w-
5:30 and do it in the afternoon?
I don't have any problem with it, doing it a little bit early. I think you have another meeting, but I have a meeting in Georgetown, and I couldn't get here before 3:30.
All right, well, let's just leave it at 5:30. That way we don't have to go and try. On December meeting, we reschedule it, it will be at 1 PM.
And that's on,
December 13th, that's on a Thursday. 1 PM, December 13th. And I'm gonna pass this around. This is for the annual dinner. So if you will sign and let me know if you're coming, or if you're bringing a guest, I can get that back to Esther. Dan, you got anything else?
Sir, thanks.
Anybody else? Anything else? I don't think we have an executive session, so I'll take a motion for adjournment. So moved. This meeting is ended. Thank you.
Thank you.